Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Let's go Sunday, 425. Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles favored by 3.5. Rematch from week 1, Eagles-Cowboys. Over-under is 47.5 by FanDuel. Cowboys up to 4-5-1 now on the season. 8-2 for the Eagles, holding or tied with the Rams at 8-2 in the NFC with the tiebreaker for the number 1 seed. That's the other thing at stake every single week here when it comes to the Eagles, comes to the Rams. And then Dallas, they're a pivotal stretch for them. They came off the bye. They've got coming off the tragedy of Marshawn Kneeland. You had some roster changes with Quinnen Williams and guys coming back from injury on the defensive side of the ball. But they looked good against the Raiders on Monday night. Now Dallas has, Philadelphia this week. Short week, Thanksgiving game against the Chiefs, and then they come back the following Thursday against the Lions. This next 3 weeks essentially will determine the Cowboys season.
Yeah, there's still a lot of unknowns with this Dallas defense in particular. They were very good against the Raiders. There's 2 elements to that. Number one, how much of that is just the Raiders have a joke of an offensive line and anyone would look good against them? And then number 2, what kind of impact did the emotion of that week and the Marshawn Kneeland tragedy have on them? And is that a one-off thing? Is that a sustainable thing? Are they going to be playing hard for him all season long? Was that a one game where they just whatever happens, we got to be good today, for Marshawn? I don't know what kind of impact that has on them. But they have a chance to go on a run now and, try and rescue their season. They are right on the fringes of playoff odds. They're there's a sort of a line of demarcation between the teams that are definitely in contention and then the teams that really aren't. And right in the middle of that line is sort of Carolina, Dallas. So they're kind of still alive. I think people wrote them off because they were so bad earlier in the season, but they've just about hung in there. And now, with the upgrades they've got on defense, with Quinnen Williams coming in via trade, with, players getting back from injury like Overshown and Revel, they've got a lot of reinforcements along that defense. And it shouldn't have been as bad as it was, historically bad, to start the year. And the offense is great. That part has always been good this season. So if the defense just gets back to being okay, it doesn't even need to be good. If it's just not an embarrassment, they're dangerous.
This has a chance to be a really good game. It was in week 1. It was. I think we all expected the Eagles to control the game, but the Cowboys had a fourth quarter comeback attempt, a couple passes that hit CeeDee Lamb in the hands that got dropped. Remember how well Dak was playing under pressure early in the season. And now, if we're being honest about George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, Pickens is playing, he's been a more dependable go-to guy for the Cowboys. It's not a knock on CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens has just been so good. So now you've got that 1-2 punch on the outside there. The Eagles, you still would rather, go to Adoree Jackson and attack him opposite Quinyon Mitchell. And the Cowboys have the receivers to do that, right? They have the receivers to create those whatever mismatches they're looking for. And I'm interested, right? In what Quinnen Williams does for this team, right? The Eagles have not had the type of run game that they had last year. Quinnen Williams has been one of the better run defenders in the league this year. You bring him in, and as I think I said it on the recap show the other day, if we were in off-season mode here and we were just looking at the Dallas defense and saying, what do they need? Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? As I often do, just rattle off the 2 deep or, the top 8 defensive linemen. It's not a bad group now, just in names and in potential, right? On the edge with Jadeveon Clowney and second rounder Donovan Ezeraku, both good players. The defensive tackle trio now of Osa Odighizuwa, Quinnen Williams, and Kenny Clark, and what you're able to do with those guys. So there's 6 or 7 deep. James Houston still there. There's 6 or 7 deep on the defensive line. And the team that still has, they were getting crushed in the pass game, but, awful run defense. For one game, they looked good, but it's the Raiders. This is a good one. If they have a game where Saquon goes, 20 carries for 50 yards and they do make the Eagles one-dimensional, I think it gives them a chance. And the Eagles have had plenty of those games like this year.
Yeah.
where they've had no run game and they still find a way to win, right? They've won with explosive pass game against Minnesota. They've won these terrible defensive games these last couple weeks. The Eagles can win every type of game. But I think Dallas is far more equipped to at least stop the run and then give them a chance and say, all right, try your low percentage outside the numbers passes. And if you miss a couple, we've got a chance to win this game. I think we're going to see a good battle on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, look, all is not well with this Philadelphia offense. The defense is playing spectacular football right now. The offense is not in a good place, and you're hearing a lot of kind of just negative things generally about this whole thing. Obviously, there was the A.J. Brown dynamic and how important or otherwise is his displeasure. But there were also reports after that generally people are not really happy with the way Jalen Hurts is sort of handling the whole thing. And normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to that, but everyone was kind of pretty clear that the guy making that report, I forget his name, is like the Philadelphia insider. Like if he says something, it's worth listening to him. And he was sort of saying, again, it's all sort of veiled and nothing quite concrete, but like people are not tremendously happy with the way Jalen Hurts is handling the way this offense is not firing on all cylinders right now. All that just to say, with no Lane Johnson now at right tackle, one of the best offensive linemen in the game, with a displeased wide receiver one, with a quarterback that apparently is not pulling everyone on the same page and getting things together, it is a vulnerable offense right now, going up against a defense that is motivated, is better than it was before, while the other side of the ball is strength on strength, like Philadelphia's defense and Dallas's offense. So I think it becomes a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, great points, and this is why I think it's going to be a fun game. I think a lot of times you get these division games, and it's like, it's stale. I've seen this before. I think it's going to be a good one because Maybe I'm naive thinking that the Dallas defense is going to get better, but I think they've made some interesting moves and had the injury returns to get there, right, and at least make it more competitive. And then you have Philadelphia's defense, and every team that faces Philly, the next question is like, man, what's wrong with this offense? What's wrong with the Lions? What's wrong with the Packers? Right? Everybody's scratching their head. What's wrong with our offense? Well, maybe you just ran into the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right? They've got, speed at linebacker, their pass rush, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And I mean, they've been getting after it. And then they just do such a good job, right? When you think about Fangio and it's supposed to be this like too high shell, it's this quarter-centric defense where they keep the top on the D and they don't give you a whole bunch of downfield throws. And that's what I always visualize with Fangio. They don't give you the deep stuff. They give you the underneath stuff, which is my oversimplification of the Fangio scheme. But when you watch the game, everything underneath is contested. It's tight. They don't bust coverages a whole lot. They're in the right place at the right time, and they just make every single drop back difficult. They batted a bunch of passes against Goff the other night. And I say all that to say, Dak did a really nice job in Week 1 to move the ball for the Cowboys. Again, they were a couple drops away from pulling the upset back in the opening night game when we had our first watch along. So I think it's going to be fun on both sides of the ball. Eagles defense against the Cowboys offense will be great theater. And then, we'll see if the Cowboys defense can make some improvements here down the stretch.
Another big difference, obviously, from that Week 1 is that presumably Jalen Carter won't get himself ejected from the game after a snap. So you might see him for most of the game going up against a couple of offensive linemen for Dallas that you would say Jalen Carter has a significant advantage over.
It's a good point. The original spitgate of this year was Jalen Carter getting tossed before the game. So, and then keep an eye on Lane Johnson, as you mentioned. Fred Johnson has filled in fairly well over the last couple of years. I think they've still run the offense. He hasn't been a massive weakness, and they wanted him enough as their swing tackle or their backup right tackle that they traded. He went to Jacksonville for training camp, came back, and they traded for him back in August, I believe, or early in the season. So for times like this, they brought Fred Johnson back.
Yeah, which felt more like an indictment on the series of sort of project players that they had at that spot. It's like, hey, all those guys that we got as projects for Stoutland to do his work with, well,
they're still projects.
About that.
They brought in.
We're going to need
three.
Fred back.
Yeah, so they brought him back. So keep an eye on that move for the Eagles here in the coming weeks. All right, man. Sunday at 4:25, Eagles by 3.5. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go with Dallas.
I am too.
I'm buy into this resurgence for at least a game.
I've talked myself into this. So this 3-game stretch for the Cowboys. Sunday the Eagles, Thursday Chiefs, next Thursday Lions. Determine the season for the 4-5-1 Cowboys. I'll take Dallas as home underdogs, and Harry's going to take the Eagles.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.